Hey guys, this is Jason
This
Douglas.
is Adam MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc New One. You are watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Fleeboy.
What's good, everybody? You know what it is and who it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one, fleeboyjetson. And this is the Voice of the Heroes podcast. So if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you can be notified on your favorite heroes and villains whenever they come by for interviews or discussions. And today we got a real special guest. That's right. We're shining our spotlight on this gentleman who has voiced over 100 different characters in Ben 10. He's voiced both Optimus Prime and Megatron from the Transformers. He is Clank from Ratchet and Clank and Arishem the Judge in Marvel's Eternals and What If Season 3. He's also played a dozen Marvel characters and DC characters. He's in the Inuyasha show. We'll talk more about that and his big influence on the anime community and cosplay. And also, man, we're talking 600 different characters in the span of over 20 years. Let's welcome Mr. David Kaye to the show. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, considering. This is my real voice, by the way. I just thought I'd let you guys in on a little secret. This is how I talk normally.
So interesting. What's up?
Hey,
good to see you,
what's
man.
up, man?
I love I dig the lid. That's my old team. I remember that's the Knicks, right?
Yeah, that's the Knicks. This is the champion edition. Knicks, two-time champions.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I remember when I used to live in Canada, in Vancouver. We had season tickets for when the Grizzlies started up there, and my wife got me tickets because I was a big Knicks fan. I sat right behind Patrick Ewing on the bench when the Knicks were in town. I saw Patrick play. And, that was pretty sweet. That was I was one of the only few people cheering for the Knicks there, but that was pretty cool, man.
What's your team now?
Memories. Well, I've been living in LA for so long. I'm a homer. So
Lakers
the Lakes. I even like the Clip. I love watching the Clippers play. I mean, it's just they've never won. They've never been to the dance, and it'd be kind of fun to see them, go further than the first or second round. I like, Harden's playing for them now, and it's kind of fun. But the Lakes always it's a show, and I'm a Kings fan, big hockey fan, because I grew up, of course in Canada. It's in my DNA. So I'm a homer. I love the Rams, and I'm even coming around to the Chargers. But I was like, but yeah, man, it's just pretty cool. So
that's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm a diehard Knicks fan, man. Go Knicks, go Knicks.
Nothing wrong with that. I've seen them play. I've been to the Madison Square. I've watched them. They're always one of my teams. So
I've never been to Madison Square, man. I gotta go.
Just get a ticket. I went by myself once. I thought, you know what? There's a game tonight. I think the Bucks were in town, and I ended up getting a ticket. This is about 5-6 years ago. And I went by myself, and I ended up having like a whole section of brand new friends by the end of the game. It was just the atmosphere at Madison Square they say is what it is. It's just the greatest atmosphere in sports, and to be there for a Knicks game is you get goosebumps.
Yeah,
That's
I can't
cool.
wait to go, man. I'm hyped. Let's talk a little bit about the intro because, I heard voice actors playing in a few different characters in, their respective franchises, but I never heard of any voice actor playing over 100 roles, and you're credited for that in Ben 10 with different aliens. It's almost kind of crazy to think about it. How do you get the range to bring out all these different personalities from each of these voices?
I don't know. Did somebody count? Because I didn't think it was that many.
Yeah, I counted.
Somebody mentioned that before. Really?
Yeah, it's almost 100. It's like 90 something or like 89, something like that. It's insane.
So we rounded up. We rounded up. Oh yeah, it's. I don't know, man. When you're having a good time and you're having fun, you don't really thinking about that. I love the franchise, and I got a chance to be in the earlier ones and the different iterations, and and Man of Action, brought me back as Grandpa Max, and that was fun. I always felt guilty. It's the business and what is, but I always felt guilty. I saw Paul Eiding because Paul is my Grandpa Max, and right, that I familiar, and I was in on the show, and Paul, and then they did this new show, and like, it was like a few seconds where I'm like, hey, I got, whoa, wait a minute, that's Grandpa So I saw him. I remember seeing Paul out. We were auditioning somewhere. I can't remember where it was. I think we were doing Ratchet and Clank or something. I saw Paul and I said, "Hey, listen, Paul. I just want to preface my apology. Anyway, he was so great about him. Paul is a gem of a human being, if there ever was one, and one of the nicest people on the planet. And those who've met Paul will, copy my sentiments. Exactly. He's just such a super nice guy. But I always felt guilty about the role, but it sure was fun to play. I love the cast. I love, call it Sunderman directed this and that. And it was just, the memories are great because you'd come in and sometimes that there's another alien that there's in the show, but sometimes it wasn't specified. So one of the big prerequisites of that show, and in being a voice actor in general in animation, is that you need to be able to sort of double up if needed be. If you can come up with a voice for some character, then you need to change it, and be different for some other character, because they will call upon you, and instead of bringing another actor in, they're going to save a bit of money and give you. But that's sort of expected that you're able to do that. I think on that show, when they hire people on the show, they knew they could do other voices, especially if you're part of the main cast. So it became a bit of a game, like. It was like I remember Frankenstrike, and I think Derek Wyatt was alive then, and he came up with the character, and I'm not sure if my name was beside, because you get the cast list, you come in the morning, because you don't really get a chance to see the script. I usually generally read the script the night before, but sometimes, here it is. And you're like, oh, and that's why sometimes we'll go through it before we record it. And I saw Frankenstrike, and I immediately went to my Rolodex in my head and went, oh, as a kid, I used to love the cereal commercials, the Frankenberry and Count Chocula and Boo Berry. And I always remember my favorite was Frankenberry. So I just it was a riff on Frankenstrike. It was, and I just played with that, and they seemed to like it, and then we adjust the voice to make sure it's different enough, and that's how it goes. But so over a period of time, you're coming up with all these characters, saying, okay, the hardest thing was like trying to keep them separate. So there was Shock Squatch, which was based on my Uncle Terry, kind of Canadian Shock, like getting down in here, hey, listen, we're going up to that, and then there's this cannon blaster bolt. So he didn't have the Canadian accent. He was kind of here, and there was another character. So you had to adjust it. So just different enough. And sometimes I think, that sounds the same, but they would help me differentiate enough, and they seemed happy. So yeah. And it's hard to believe, actually.
Yeah. I was just actually, as you was talking, I was going through the list. Ben 10, 2016, and also Ben 10, 2012.
Yeah.
Ben 10,
right.
2016, you played the majority of those characters. It was like, I'm looking at it, it's like almost like 80, 60 to like 80.
My favorite was, what was my favorite was,
Cyber, Wizard.
Kyber the Huntsman. I always loved him.
Yeah, Shocko. It's just so many Shock Rock, Grandpa Max. And just little roles. I think what it was and why you don't remember, because it was
the little
the
little things that they throw. Yeah. Okay.
So it added up to almost, and also the regular show, you played a lot of characters in that one. And
oh my God, that was fun. The regular show. that was I hated it when I didn't get called in to do a part, because when you go in, for the most part, before Mark Hamill was off doing some secret movie that we didn't know about until Star Wars, he would be in the cast, and JG, and it was a complete laugh fest. It was just constant, like Roger Craig Smith and I, are you kidding me? This is, oh my God. This is, it was just so much fun. And so whatever they threw at me, I just had a blast. I loved going on that show. There's like that Milk episode, man, where this guy, this cool guy, he's one. And then there's, let them eat cake. It's, Reginald, one of the floating giant babies. I love those. And there's just various different nonsense that I did on that show. I can't remember, but that was another favorite of mine. I dug that, man.
Your range is so huge.
I got a poster over there that they gave me and signed it. JG, that I just cherish. One of my favorite animation posters from the shows I was in is that one, the regular show. It's just so. I remember Mark Hamill used to come in and Mark would sit down. I can't sit when I record, so Mark was always sitting and we get the script, and you know how it really moves along, right? The edits are quick, comedy, boom, 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 boom. It's like, I don't understand the kids these days. What is this about? What's my intent here? What am I saying? And he says, every 5 seconds is a new joke. It never used to be this way when I was a kid. We used to play the joke. And it was just one thing after another. And Mark was so much fun to work with. And of course, if you're a fan of the regular show, you ever watched it, it always ends up being Hamill going, what are you guys doing? You're going to blow up the world. There's always that would happen. Yeah, he was, what a treat to work with him, man.
He's an amazing guy, man. What an amazing talent.
I don't think he knows my name or whatever, but he always used to, you kid, what's your name again? what do you do here?
Now, another one that they kept bringing you back in, and not only did you do additional voices on this show, but you was actually not only in this franchise somewhere down the line, Megatron and Optimus Prime, but you also did a lot of work as other Decepticons and Autobots and things like that. Tell us what it was like playing these two iconic heroes and villains in this epic franchise.
Oh.
What a pleasant surprise. Where is my rubber ducky?
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into when I was cast in that. I had no idea. I remember auditioning for Doug Parker, who ended up being Starscream. Who did it? Who was just he was so good, man. He's so good, and he was actually running the auditions, and I went in to audition for him. That was when I was still living in Canada and still in Vancouver, and and I received like a stack of stuff, like papers, the Bible, as it were, of all the characters and their relationships with each other. Normally, like for Marvel's Eternals, I got like a paragraph and nothing. It was so secret. Like what am I auditioning for? They won't even tell us. My agent, that's her voice. They don't even tell us, TK. Just, do your best. Oh, thank you. Is there anything you can do? No, I got nothing for you. Thanks. Thanks, Natanya. So you try and, I don't even know what I'm reading for. How is this? I have no idea. But for that show back in, I guess that was probably 93, 94 when they were casting for it. I never watched Transformers as a kid. I was into Bugs Bunny and Tex Avery and weird cartoons and, the rubber cartoons. I love that stuff. It was just stare at it for hours. And so I watched a bit of G.I. Joe because I had some of the dolls and I collected them, and I collected comics. I was big into Marvel comics and that. So I knew but I didn't know about Transformers. I didn't know. So it's a good thing because I kind of went in the booth and I had an idea, but then I just started talking and he said, okay, DK, what do you got? Let's see what you got. And I remember like moment of like terror, like I have no idea. And then I just thought of sort of Sean Connery and Anthony Hopkins, a couple of my favorite actors who were big in a few movies at the time. And I thought, well, God, he's a dinosaur. What if the two of them kind of, like, it was quickly your brain goes, well, combine those. And then what if they had a child and it was a dinosaur? And so I just, I did this sort of thing, and very Shakespearean. It was written Shakespearean. And I had taken some classic theater classes and studied with Neil Freeman, who wrote the Freeman text and so I was interested in Shakespeare, and I just said, well, let's see what happens. So I just started, doing, And great, man, sounds good. Like, what else you got? And then I auditioned for a few other characters. I also auditioned for Optimus. And then about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, I get a call back. I go, oh, cool. And so I went to the studio in Vancouver at the time called GGRP, and I walked in. Usually a bunch of people milling about and some talent cookies or donuts or coffee, and there's like no one around. I was just by myself, and there's a sign-in sheet. I go, this is kind of fun. Just sat there, and they called me in, and I said, well, that's a good sign. No one's here. So, and there's a bunch of people behind the glass, and I remember going in and. Again, I thought, well, I'll just do what I did. But then they said, we'd like you to read for Optimus first. And I'm thinking, now I have no idea what to do. What do I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I think I probably did close to what I did for Optimus Prime in animated, maybe somewhere along there, but I really didn't. I don't know. He was a big monkey like Gary. And so I didn't know, I didn't know Gary was not for the role at the time. And then I turned to Megatron, and I remember feeling comfortable, like, oh, okay, here we go. This is a villain. I like the villain. And it gave more of this performance. Like, yes, I didn't say yes. That wasn't in the auditions. But I did that thing. And the good news, I got not too far along after that, was I was cast as the thing. And I go, great, awesome. And I'm not thinking about franchise or anything like that. I'm just thinking about, oh, all right, how many episodes? 13? Oh, cool. Yeah, 2 seasons maybe. Great. And the cast, of course, became notoriously famous for their roles, all of them. Amazing. And what a great time that was. And then fast forward, I guess it was 2006, 2007, and I was commuting I was on an airplane every couple of weeks or so, or even more, like back and forth to LA to Vancouver. As my career is beginning to really take off down here, I thought I'm on an airplane like all the time, missing my young kids, very young kids, and my wife. And I'm thinking, but I ended up with Sue Blue. I get a notice that there's an audition for Transformers, and I emailed Sue. I said, hey, I can work I can work. I have my visa, and then I'm back and forth. Is there this chance to read? I kind of did what you're not supposed to do. My agents up north there. No, you don't contact the people. You don't talk to them. And I went, screw that. I know Sue. So I just emailed her, and because she directed Beast Wars. And she'd, oh my God, honey, yes, of course, oh my God, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. I'll send you the scripts. Want to read? So I read all the stuff, and then I flew back and a couple times, and I got a call back. And I go, awesome, Cartoon Network. And so sitting in there with I remember Michael Bell being there and a few other people they were bringing in. And I was reading for Megatron. I was called back for Megatron, and because I had read for Megatron, which I thought, okay, here, rides again. Here we go. It's gonna be fun. Right, that. And I also read for Lugnut. I remember reading for Lugnut, a couple other characters, and then in the audition at Cartoon Network, the callback, they said, that's when I first met sort of Derek Wyatt and Matt Youngberg, Marty Eisenberg, and Sue was there, and the producers. And they said, we're having trouble finding, Optimus. Would you give him a try? Because, your voice is, we're kind of looking for like a young Tom Hanks. I go, okay, I'll try.
Okay,
so I went out to the waiting room, and it worked. I looked at the script, and I go, I don't know. And again, I don't know what to do. So I come back in hoping if I open my mouth, something better happen. And I used my own voice. I just, transformed, and I kind of kept him younger because he's naive, and I raised him up a little bit, and they seemed to dig that. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I got a call from my agent a couple weeks later. He said, hey, DK, good news. They want to hire you for, and I didn't really hear, and I didn't hear Optimus. I just said, Transformers, all right, yeah, right. She said, yeah, for the role of Optimus. And I'm like, what? So it's not Megan. She said, no. I said, how's that going to work? What are you talking about? I go, oh, no, it's never mind. It's okay. I was just assumed it was Megatron. No, they want you for Optimus. And she had no idea. She wasn't in on the joke, right? And that's how I got cast in those two things. And so it was a little uncomfortable for a little bit because I was so used to playing the villain and this sort of this rhythm of speech. Now I got to be me. Oh, wow. And all these years, I was hiding behind my voice, thinking, well, then I don't want me. I'm not good. In your head, I'm not good enough. I have to put a voice on to be something different. But to do my own voice is like, that's a little uncomfortable. So it took a while, and I remember it like it was sort of a light bulb went off. All these years I was hiding behind characters and myself, and I didn't really want to be me because I didn't think I was enough, or I thought I was boring. Who wants to hear that? And here I am cast as Optimus Prime, who is essentially me. And so it took 4 or 5 episodes to kind of sink into the character where I felt comfortable. But it's like you're going on stage naked, because it's like I'm not putting on a voice or a costume or a mask. It's like, this is me. We got to fight Megatron. Who's with me? Thunderbolt or whatever your name is, Bumblehead. So it was cool in a sense that I learned something very valuable from that audition and from that series. And then my career really started taking off because I was fine being me. It was my own voice. Mm-hmm. So I was starting doing trailers where I was trying to do a character or voice, and I still do a lot of campaigns like that. But I remember that the folks at Clint Eastwood's production company, or the movies, he did a couple of movies, and Richard Jewell, and I was so frustrated at that point. I was quite busy in other areas, but I love trailers, and I got a great manager, and I was like, come on, man. And it took years to kind of just get into the mix, and I was so frustrated one day, this trailer come across, and I just went, I don't know, man. Richard Jewell, rated PG-13. Richard Jewell, in theaters Friday. But I did that. I did nothing. And I went, yeah, whatever. Sent it. Yeah, thanks. And then one of my agents calls back, says, hey, they love you for the Richard Jewell campaign. They want to know if I go, really? Well, I said I didn't do anything. And Dave Karp says, exactly. I go, oh, yes, just be you. Just be comfortable being you. Don't do anything. And for years I was trying to do something, why did it take so long? But it's because of that audition and that character that I kind of just went, you know what? I'm enough. That's all I need to do. And that's a big lesson for an actor.
I was just about to say that. I was going to direct the community and everybody watching, man. There's a message in that story if y'all didn't catch it. Yeah. Just be yourself.
That's it, because that's it. And then when you get hired as yourself, then you can start playing around, but be comfortable with who you are. And we're all of us, that we wear masks every day in the form of we put on a mat. We go out in public and and so you got to drop all that and just be who you are and no, yeah, because that's I remember some of the best advice I got was the late great Mickey Rooney. One of my first animation projects is Cleo the Misfit Unicorn played a hippo. He had stripes on, same color as your hat, and I loved it. And it was just this goofy hippo, and it's called Cleo the Misfit Unicorn. And Mickey Rooney played his image of grandfather unicorn would float in, and Mickey would have some parts, and when he's still alive, and we had a big rap party, I remember, up there. And Mickey was there with his manager, I think, who stole all his money. I don't know, but he had a boxer. I have a boxer in New Mexico. We're gonna go down and see him. And anyway, he had us all, telling us all around, hovering in his story about meeting Judy Garland, and because they were together at one time. My Judy, he called her, and he said, "Listen, I have some advice for all of you. Don't ever grow up." And I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "No, don't ever grow up." So there's something in that too, is if you're in this business and you're doing it, don't always be sort of every day's a new day, every moment's brand new. Don't be jaded or whatever. It's don't grow. You don't need to grow up. You can be mature, but don't lose that sense of exploration and wonder. And that's what he was mean. Don't ever grow up. My Judy used to say. And here's a legend of Hollywood telling you some advice. You're like, yeah, man, that's pretty deep. So some good advice there, and that's all part of it.
That's awesome. Not only did you voice Optimus Prime, right, and Megatron, you also voiced some of the most iconic heroes of all time: Superman, Iron Man, Captain America. You know, whether it was shorts, video games, series, things like that. Did you have a particular favorite, or matter of fact, a better
Yeah.
question: who do you think is the most iconic character you ever played?
Oh, the most iconic. Gosh. You know, most iconic. I mean,
Would it be
I
Superman?
mean, Superman's been around a long time, and I played him
Yeah.
in a short, but I really got a chance to have fun with my favorite superhero, Superman, in the latest episodes of Teen Titans Go, and that was so much fun because he's kind of an off-the-handle Superman. How dare you? I am the superhero here. You kids are nothing. You know, and he and it was really fun to play Superman that way. I always loved him. I did play him in the opposite of Superman, Bizarro Superman in some shorts, and that was kind of fun to play Bizarro opposite Superman. The one of the things is the late Kevin Batman
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy. I worked with him, but not with him. I worked on projects, and I hated the fact I never got a chance to work with Kevin, because to me he was sort of the ultimate voice of Batman.
Ooh, matter of fact, you worked on a project with him.
Yeah, so it was video game. I think it
was also Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 3-part movie that came out in 2024. You was the Question, and he was Batman.
Oh, the Question. Yes, he was in there, and I was the Question.
And he had an iconic line where it's like, "Oh, the Joker, Mark Hamill is like, the world is coming to an end. What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "I'm gonna continue to be Batman." And you was in that one. You had an awesome, amazing line in that, and where everybody's going into this new world, this new universe, and your character just turns around and is like, "Hey man, I'm gonna handle whatever consequences come with it." I thought your character was so fantastic in that. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's cool.
But the Question was awesome in that.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a little inside joke. Is a lot of sessions. It sort of started during Avengers Assemble, and that whole cast that was so much fun, man. And we'd be we'd going through the scenes, and I'm looking at some scene, I'm thinking, well, that doesn't make sense, and I always put Colette would be directing in the groups, group from Marvel, and I said, I have a question, and that became. That became a thing, and Roger Craig Smith, of course, ran with that. And every time, I have a question, Freddie Tatasciore and everyone, Simon. So that became my thing. David Kaye, I have a question, and that was the inside joke. So when I was cast as the Question, I was like, oh, this is typecasting. I am the Question. So I was just exactly perfect
character for you.
Perfect character for me. I have a question, and it's like, damn, what comes around goes around. But the one character I've always wanted to play, and I love Dark Batman. I love, Kevin is the ultimate voice for me. It's just tough to read for something when you have this, iconic, Superman came, but I mean, I love Batman, and I always like the iterations of Batman, and I just think that's not me. I think I'm in Superman, area, Iron Man. I sort of identify a little more, and but Batman's always intriguing to me. It's intriguing. It's interesting because your head gets in the way, of who's played it before.
Yeah, and I like the fact that every time I turn around, you're in my favorite DC or Marvel content, because I believe DC animation is way better than the movies. And recently you did additional work in the Cape Crusader, which was almost perfect.
Oh,
and,
cry laughing. I was cry laughing as the clown. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
And that was
also got to play.
That was intense work.
And then you also got to play in James Gunn's
Yeah.
Creature Commandos, which
Yeah,
is
which
launched...
I love that series.
Yeah,
I got, because I didn't really quite. James Gunn, of course, obviously, is like, oh, cool, man, this is good. I didn't care what I'll scream just for James. I don't get, but I got this really cool little role as and you'll see it. I don't want to give anything away, but I started watching the series, and I'm like, damn, this is like when I was a kid reading comics, and there were comics that you shouldn't really, you're too young for that, and that's why I gravitated toward that. You know, I married my wife Maria, you know, with the dark hair and the mysterious, and because I think I fell in love with Vampirella and all those women who were dark haired, sort of, you know, and I just dig the whole genre of. I just dig the look of it, the animation, the acting is like, damn, man, this cast is killer. Who plays Frankenstein is I don't know
He's
his
from
name,
Stranger Things. Ah, man, he plays Red Guardian and Thunderbolts also.
but he
out.
is absolutely perfect as this. You know, it's if you haven't seen it, Creature Commandos, right?
Yeah, on Adult Swim and Max, man, y'all gotta go see that. Check it out.
Good. It's really,
and it's
really
the
good.
launch of James Gunn's DC universe. So make sure y'all go see it. The next installment is Superman, of course, that'll be coming out in theaters this summer.
I would work. I hope, you know, I get a chance to work with him again, because I just think his stuff is awesome.
I think it's possible, because, you know, we thought about the same thing when you got cast as Erisham the Judge in Marvel's Eternals, and then I turn around and I see you in What If fighting Agatha, and my God, your lines.
Yeah, that was cool, wasn't it? That was cool.
That was
there he
awesome to see you come back as Erisham the Judge, and the way you came back, like you puny mortal. I forgot the lines, but man, I said, yo, David Kaye is killing this right here.
Yeah, that was a surreal moment, getting cast and working with Chloe Zhao in that film. I liked it. I liked the way it was a different Marvel movie, and I dug it. I remember the comic books, for crying out loud. Jack Kirby. And when I was a kid, sifting through books with my friend, his part-time job at a bookstore down into the basement, surrounded by stacks of comics, both DC and Marvel and everything else. And I remember my friend introducing me to the Eternals, and so it's really kind of cool to come full circle and be a chance to be in that. I thought for sure they're going to recast me as, you know, put in somebody else, because here's David Kaye, you know, they're gonna. And then we're at the theater, and I'm like, oh my God, they kept my voice. It's in there. But I loved, and we did a few different sessions. That was very secretive.
You're coming back too. 100%. I think we're going to see Eric.
Cross your fingers. I would, because he has to. I have to return for judgment. You know, I have to. Yeah, I will return for judgment. And it was really, you had to be. It's like, I equate that line in that film similar to trailers I have done with Pixar. There's a very specific way that you know, and when you hit it, you know, and they're like, yes. That's it. But it takes a while, because he doesn't really get upset because he's a giant god. You know, he is a celestial. He doesn't need to scream or yell, which I love those characters. The Alan Rickman type characters that don't need to scream. They just need to look a certain way or say a certain thing a certain way. But we tried it with an English accent. You know, it would, Cersei, it is time. A slight, you know, mid-Atlantic English, and it had to sound like he's angry, but he couldn't yell. So it's a very fine line. You're walking a tightrope with that line, because it's a big line in the film. It's a thing. And it has to be played.
Authority in it.
Yeah, so authority, but yet, so you know what I mean? Like, there's a real tightrope. I call that walking the voiceover tightrope, because but when you get it, it's like, there it is. But it may take a little time. In the Pixar, I equate that to 2 words: until now. I did some trailers for what was it? There's a world, the universe, until now. And it, I did the word until now probably about 18 to 20 different ways. The rest of the trailer was like probably nailed off, but then the people from Pixar, and then the trailer house is online, and you're reading, and it took about, because it has to be magical, not too quiet, but enough. It's got to kind of, you're again the voiceover tightrope, and those are what I call the short putts. I don't golf, but those you can wind up and smack the ball, but when you're close to the hole, things get a little tight. You're gripping the stick too tight, and so it's really important to be relaxed in those moments, and I think just, from time on the planet and time doing it over and over again, you just get used to that. But it's a voiceover tightrope, those moments. And that was man, one.
You sound fantastic in those situations, because both Erisham the Judge and What If Season 3, if y'all haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's good. That was really cool.
Was fantastic, man.
I don't like to watch myself. I really, honestly, I don't see a lot of what I do. I haven't seen a full Beast Wars episode from start to finish at all. I've seen clips.
Oh man, I grew up on that.
I know, because I'm so
Beast Wars.
I'm so critical of like, I remember when I did this show, not too long ago.
Battle Cat, He-Man,
and He-Man. So I love that show. As I collected those comics, and I remember doing that a long time ago, or watching that show a long time ago, and I was like, I don't know, because I love the character, I love the voice as between Liam Neeson and Liam, what's his name from the Game of Thrones, and it's like a protector. He's got a bit of an accent, Irish American sort of, but he's in here. Adam, I will protect you. My claws. It's sort of that protective father figure, and I was like, I love this character. I love this voice, and I'm like reluctantly. I remember it dropped. I'm like, do I watch it? Do I watch it? And I started watching it. And I'm like, damn, this is pretty good. And I started watching another episode. I got to 6 episodes. Like, well, that's never happened before. I actually watched 6 episodes from start to finish. And I felt okay about it. But yeah, I'm funny like that. I don't watch a lot of things that I'm in. I'm just hoping I do a good job and I move on to the next. I don't know. I'm weird.
So what about early in your career, right? Because some of my childhood shows besides Beast Wars,
I hated watching
things like G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Exosquad.
I love doing it. Hated watching it.
What about Exosquad?
Yeah. Exosquad, yeah, I love doing it. I did have at one time the laser disc.
And my all-time favorite show of all time, which I hope, please let them do a reboot, man. Yeah. They doing all these reboots, but Ronin Warriors, you played the
Ronin Warriors. Yeah, why not?
It would be awesome this time of age, like with the animation that they got.
Yeah, I think they could really do a hell of a job with that.
I would love to see you come back as the Ancient One. Let's talk a little more about anime, right?
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about a character that's heavily influenced in not only the cosplay world, but conventions, the Inuyasha show. You play a fan favorite. Let's talk a little bit about your character and your time playing that.
Yeah, let me just grab him for inspiration. There he is. I have him out of the box, too. I know. I shouldn't do that, but I did.
Hey, that's awesome. I actually have that same Funko Pop, too.
Little Sesshomaru. Sesshomaru was interesting because, again, it was my voice before I was comfortable using it, but it was just sort of a smoky sort of thing. And I would record at Ocean when I was still living in Vancouver and working in Vancouver years ago. And there was a big easy chair in the low level. I love the studios because they were at Ocean because they were like comfortable and warm and low level light. I hate bright light. I mean, I must be a vampire or something because I just don't like turn off the lights, and it was just low level and Carl Willems and Toshi was with Viz Video at the time, and directing. And I remember it got funny because they put the light in and I sort of sit back and relax and I just talk like this. Okay, page 300, line 71. Shut up, Jockin. Just shut up. And it was just, my voice was younger back then, but it was just so relaxing. And he was one of these characters, like, again, I call him an Alan Rickman character, or Anthony Hopkins. They don't need to shout. They just need to. And I learned a lot from them by just being still, And he's one of these characters that he doesn't need to do. I mean, obviously they're in the Yashahime, you know, things get a little tiring there for him. But he's very still, and I dug that about the character. And part of me is like, I don't have to do anything, you know. And also part of me is like, I just like to just be him. I'm grounded, and so I just dug the character. And we had done, I don't know, 700 episodes, whatever, 7 years of it.
Ooh,
and then
yeah,
I'm at
man.
whatever it was, right? And this is way back, and we were doing a big anime convention in Toronto, and I was there. Mike Dobson was there, and all the cast, and then we're going in the van from the hotel to the convention center to where we, you know, it would appear. Or whatever. And a girl gets in, a couple of people get in, and I said, I said, Mike, who are these? Do you know these people? Who's the girl? He looks at me and goes, dude, that's Kagome. I go, oh, okay. I had no idea, because you don't see anybody when you go in to do ADR, or, you know, when you go in to do the dubbing. So I didn't even know who anybody was except Richard, who I'm still trying to convince to come on the road with me do a few shows. You know, a few people are out there still that are hovering around, but Richard used to, he was great. He used to work with him in X-Men Evolution and a bunch of other shows, and he used to just make me laugh, to look at him like I'm out, you know.
Oh man, speaking of X-Men Evolution,
yeah.
it's awesome how you play both the counterparts of the hero, Professor X, and
yes, of course. Yes, number one. You must. Logan.
And Apocalypse, which was fantastic.
Apocalypse.
But let's get back to Sesshomaru. What's the biggest line or the quote that you get the most in Comic Cons? Because you go to
there's a few of them. There's a few of them, and I always have cheat sheets when I'm there, because I it's hard to remember them. Megatron's easy. It's like, yes. No, they're the same people are happy. But from Sesshomaru, I always get confused with the Tale of Two Cities. It's a far, far better thing I do. You know, I did the end of the Tale of Two Cities book, because that's how he speaks, and he has these sayings. I write them on pops, and I should know them.
Let's get to Ratchet and Clank. Clank, you play Clank, and also you got to show this assigning this weekend in LA.
This weekend,
which is phenomenal. Let people know where you're gonna be at. Excuse me.
Well, it's a community day. Yeah.
Oh, it's community day.
Well, it's on the Saturday. This Saturday, it's community day at Insomniac Games. I'm not. But I'm not sure. But James Arnold Taylor's flying in from Nashville, Tennessee. He's going to be flying in here to Los Angeles, and going to join me at where is it again? It's at the complex. It's at it's at what do you call it? It's Insomniac Games itself. Last time I was there was before the pandemic, and everyone scattered. And so it's the first time back at the mothership, and
that's gonna be so.
There'll be panels. They're gonna talk about Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank, and I can't believe it's been freaking 30 years. That freaks me out. Number one,
I'm not gonna lie. The last Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was one of my favorite games when it came.
It's a great look. I'm still slowly going through it. I have the PS5.
Oh, I love it. It's such a phenomenal game. I hope that they make more movies, even the TV series.
I hope so,
awesome.
because they're adorable characters, and it's so much fun to play.
And he's another one that just, I had no idea. It was a paragraph that came through many years ago, and I read for it. It just said, we want a robot, but we don't want to sound like a robot, but we want to have human qualities. We want to, and I go, I don't know. So I just started contracting. If it was can't, I would say, I cannot. No, Ratchet, I cannot. You must be. And I started doing that. And anyway, they bought it. So, and here we are 30 years later. And then on this Sunday, because James is flying in, we're getting together at the Celebworks storefront in Burbank and doing a signing there. We'll be signing, pops and stuff, whatever you bring around. And that's going to be cool. But it's 30 years, man. 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years, man. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That
Thank you.
just lets you know, man, you're a legend in this game. And this platform, they give you your flowers and to let you know, man, thank you so much for everything you did with your voice.
Of
You know,
course.
the influence, the inspiration, the times you made us laugh, cry. Thank you
Thank you.
truly, David Kaye, so much for everything that you did for us in this community. And thank you so much for this interview. It's an honor interviewing a legend. Heroes,
Oh, man,
villains,
thank you.
don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. David, let them know where they can find you at on social media.
Yeah, it's at Instagram, and I think it's across the the platforms. It's at DKA. It's DKAYEVO. Tara Strong continues to hate that handle. I did, but DKVO. It's at DKVO, and that's where you'll find me. Yeah, please follow because I have a great team. Sam and Michelle, who helped me with the publicity because I'm not very good at it, but they're amazing people. And thanks to to people like you, man, for your support and your kind words, and you're truly a gem, fleeboyjetson, and let's do this again.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much for coming by. Sam, thank you so much for your patience. Love y'all. Also, heroes, love you too, man. Love yourself and pass that love on and love others. Until the next time, heroes out.
Sing it with me.